Greetings, greetings, greetings. Is he on the right camera? Is he on the right camera? And let's get rid of that. How's that? I'm hoping I've got a slightly different setup. Camera's a little bit higher. Yeah. Welcome to Level Up Live. Friday the 8th of May 2020. It is a 20th show and it is Family Friday. So if you have been watching, you'll know that this is my own effort to level up live. Now, I need to put a little stop on something. So how this works is there's a delay and I need to just give that a pause. There we go. That should work. And that reminds me, I want to paste tonight's there we go. Okay, yeah. All right, greetings, greetings, greetings once again. Welcome to the show. Remember, if you are new to the show, love to know where in the world you are. So do leave a comment in the chat. And yeah, what's lockdown look like for you? It'd be very interesting to hear. Are you coming to the end, or is things easing? Are they getting better? Who knows? Who knows? So let me just check that. There we go. Yep. And let's get back. So actually, I'm going to go to the MacBook Pro camera. So you'll know. For those of you who watch regularly, you know the whole thing is an experiment on my part to level up with the live streaming software. So. Yeah, but today's Family Friday is meant to be a family show, and what I mean by that is everyone is welcome. Depending on what time zone you're in, you may want to bring your kids on and tell us how they're leveling up, and or in my case, it is Central European time. It is 10:15 at night, so my little girls are fast asleep now. Actually, I should say that one of them, I'm pretty sure the eldest, is still not asleep. And you know, I try and do this show as late as possible that my daughters are both asleep, but it gets later and later and later. You know, I have been known to fall asleep with her and have to get up and do the show. So there's that. But yeah, enough about that. So I am Colin Clapp of Parenting Passports and Profits. We are a world schooling family. Didn't want that. We got the what we got there. You don't want that. We can get rid of that. What we want is this here. So yeah, if you've not met me before, I'm Colin Clapp of Parenting Passports and Profits. You can find out more about me and the family over at parentingpassportsandprofits.com. It's me, my lovely partner Ellie, and our two little girls. One is 6 and one is 1. We've been location independent, permanent, full-time traveling family since February 2017, so we're into our 4th year now. And when we started, we only had the one daughter, and halfway through we popped back to New Zealand to bring baby number 2 in the world. But yeah, we felt like we were only just getting going, and as soon as she was born, we got her passport, and before she was 10 weeks old, we were on the road again. And for most of that time in Asia, we have been most of that 3 years, entering the 4th year, we have been in Southeast Asia, and latterly we just trekked over to the Philippines. Whether that is still Southeast Asia, we don't think so. It's more just general Asia, but forgive my ignorance on the geography. But we were there at the beginning of the year. We celebrated our youngest daughter's first birthday there. We loved it there. And at the beginning of the year, we were wondering, we had plans to make it to Europe this year after 3 years in the sort of permanent, endless summer of Southeast Asia. But serendipity, Lady Luck, she made us aware of a house here in France, which we applied for, not expecting to get. But it worked out quite the opposite. We were made extremely welcome. We were chosen above all the other applicants because we were a family. And they hadn't initially looked for a family, but when they found out a family wanted to come and look after their house, they really wanted a family in their house. They felt their land and their house was deserving of a family, and they've made us so welcome while they have gone off to Australia to look after a sick relative. So this all happened just around February time, and we flew out of the Philippines on the beginning of March, arrived in France, grabbed some warm clothes within the first few days, got ourselves set up and settled into the house, and then lockdown. So we haven't seen anything of France, bar a couple of nights in Paris where we just recovered from jet lag. Didn't want to be meeting our house sitters with two scratchy girls. So we had a couple of days in Paris, and it was just a big culture shock after so much time in Asia to find ourselves in Europe. I'm originally we were a New Zealand family, although I was originally born in the UK, and so I have spent some time in France, and yeah, it was just quite surreal sort of being in Europe after so much time in Asia. We travel very light. We have 2 check bags and 3 carry-ons. Sorry, how did I say that? 2 check bags, 3 carry-ons that take care of all our needs as a family of 4, working location independently. And we live in t-shirts and shorts, and to find ourselves in Europe with no warm clothes, it was just different. But we've settled in, and even if we were not locked down, we are very isolated. We're in a rural part of France. We thought we were just south of Paris, but we're actually quite a long way south. It took us an hour and a half on a fast train, and then another 40 odd minutes in car from the train station. And and that takes you, that fast train, I've never been on one of those before in France, but that takes you a long way very quickly. So we reckon we're sort of in central France. Our nearest main town is Poitiers, but as I say, we can't really comment much on our European leg of this adventure as a world schooling family because we haven't been out. But France is easing its restrictions as of Monday. So the girls who have not been out the house for 5 or 6 weeks, they've been amazing how well they've done. But we do feel quite blessed. We do. It's pitch black at the moment, obviously late at night, but we are surrounded by countryside as far as the eye can see. We live in a small hamlet of 5 houses. We think 4 are currently occupied. 3, 5 houses including us, we believe 4 are occupied. 1 is not. The other 3, we haven't seen anyone from the one house, and there's just 2 neighbours that we've interacted with. They don't speak English, and we speak very little French, but it's all good smiles. And that's all we see. The nearest village is about 4k away, and the nearest small town, large village is maybe 20 k's away, and that's where we get our groceries, because the village maybe has a bakery, a hairdresser's, and a library. The bakery is the only one we've been into, although we did get library books in the few days before lockdown, obviously not knowing lockdown would come. So it's been nice to have some French children's books to use with our eldest. Excuse me. So remember, if you are just coming on the show, please tell me where in the world you are. Leave a comment in the chat. I'll pick it up. But tell us what lockdown looks like for you. Okay. So Family Friday, eh? So last week, if you tuned in, Family Friday, I sort of alluded to some other families that for a lot of people who don't understand this location independent living, digital nomads, um, being homeless, it can appear very crazy and out there. But when you're doing it, it doesn't, it doesn't feel strange to us. It just feels very natural to us. It feels comfortable to us. And but there are, I think we had no idea of what world schooling would look like. And when we left 3 years ago, and we knew there were other traveling families out there full time, but we didn't know them. We knew of them, but we didn't know them, and we only knew of a few. But the longer we're out on the road, and the more people we meet who are living similar lifestyles. And I want to tell you, if you are watching this, either live or in the future, world schooling families, location independent families come in all shapes and sizes from all over the globe. And they count in their thousands, is how I would describe it. So I'm going to get on to a little bit more about some of these families and how you can find out more about these families. As the show evolves, I am looking to turn this section of the show more into like a podcast, and I'm actively reaching out to some of these families to see if they'll come on the show, either pre-recorded so we can have more like I hand the live over to a podcast, or maybe the Friday show will just fade away into a podcast or a video cast interviews. So if you're watching this and you want to be on the show and you want to be part of the podcast, we really want to talk about you and your story. We want to hear about anything you have to offer in the way of products and services. We want to know how you live, and we want to share that with the world. So from me to you, please reach out, and if you go to parentingpassportsandprofits.com, you'll find all our social links. And reach out in any way that feels comfortable to you, and let's find a way of getting you on the show. In the meantime, this show is very casual. I'd love to, if you're there watching, please leave a comment in the chat. Helps me, helps you, helps me get to know you. And if there's anything you want to know or ask, fire away. If there's anything you want to show or tell, fire away on the chat. And if you want to come on the show, honestly, it really is dead casual. Just use the link that I've got pasted below. I think it's in the bottom left-hand side of my screen. I don't know if it's in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, but I've pasted it into the chat. If you click on that link, that will take you to a virtual room, and I should get a little beep in my ear, and we can chat live. And I don't mind if you're someone from my past, someone from my present, or someone from the future that I've never met. Come on and introduce yourself and tell us all about your world. So maybe I'll just put a little bit more context around that in terms of what is leveling up all about. Well, there's a little bit of history of how this show came about. I'm quite proud it's got to 20. Totally sort of unplanned, but I'm going to be continuing. So how did it all come about, and what's it all about? Well, the show really is about, I thought about this just this week, and I believe the show is about making the world a better place today than it was yesterday. In whatever way that looks in your world, can you make your world, the world, a better place today than it was yesterday? So in what way are you going to level up to make that a reality? So let me explain how that has evolved and come to pass. It started with, it's actually a sort of random set of events that just came together in a spontaneous act where show one started on Easter Monday. And those serendipitous and those random acts were, one, I was listening to a podcast from a friend of mine, and he was saying that now is the time. Now, obviously, essential workers aside, who are stressed beyond belief, now is the time that most of us have a different allocation of time. Not more, not less, but we have a different allocation of time. these are my words, by the way, but what he was saying is that don't waste this time. Do not allow this time to pass, where for most of us, with this reallocation of time, we can't use the excuse we haven't got time to upskill or level up or whatever it is, because we still got the same 24/7 that we had before, but our what separated us what always separates us is how we use that time. And so we still only have the 24/7, but our allocation of that time has been, our freedom of choice around that allocation of time has been taken away. So now we potentially have more time available to upskill in some shape or form, or level up in some shape or form. And I don't want you to take that as a really serious challenge in any way. I'm talking about you want to do some more cooking, become a better chef or something. Those are all ways of leveling up. Now, of course, you could this time, because if it passes and you haven't improved your life in any shape or form, you only have yourself to blame if others have moved on and you haven't. So yeah, play your games, enjoy your films, but don't binge watch or game yourself into oblivion or whatever. The second event was that I was introduced by a mutual friend to a fellow world schooler, Trey, who is in Mexico right now. Trey's been on the show. It was lovely to have him come on the show. He was one of the first guests. But Trey and I hadn't met until a few weeks back, or obviously before Easter Monday. And Trey, as part of the World Schooler movement, was trying to breathe life into a small business mastermind accountability group for World Schoolers. And our mutual friend said, oh, we should connect. I'd been trying to get into it myself. The time zones just weren't working for me. But we reached out to talk one-to-one and had a lovely chat. And during that chat, I was reminded of my own past, because I used to be an accountability coach. I actually ran group coaching and accountability sessions professionally for a number of years. Now, I haven't done that for a number of years, but I did do it for a number of years, and that was an interesting time in my life and a very rewarding time. And so Trey and I weren't quite sure how we were going to evolve our relationship, but we both said this has been a good chat. We'll just sleep on it and see how things go from there. And then this was all happening around the sort of COVID-19 time, world-changing events. And Ellie and I were reflecting, well, how can we contribute to this period? And we decided we would just offer up our calendars, and if anyone wanted to talk about anything, about lifestyle, about online marketing, about health and fitness. Ellie is a health and fitness professional. If you want to find out a little bit more about her, I'll just let's take that off the screen. You can check out Ellie over at elliemcguinness.com, and so Ellie and I both made our calendars available, put it out on social, and let people take up that offer, and a few people did. But I guess we weren't that interested in just regularly throwing it out on social, and again weren't quite sure how we could contribute to the connectivity. I mean, social distances isn't a great phrase, and the mutual friend Lainey, who put Trey and I in touch, she was the first to tell me about, we can drop that language. Yes, we can have physical distancing, but there's no reason we should have social distancing. We can use the amazing times we live in to connect virtually, and so that's what we've been doing. And then the fourth thing was, I saw many of my own peers and inspirations offering themselves up in a sort of ask me anything type platform, and I thought, well, that would be another way of making Ellie and I available within the constraints that we have of raising a family and looking after our kids. And then the fifth thing was, I realized I wanted to level up with live video. I'm coming at you using some software called Ecamm Live, which runs on my MacBook Pro, and it's a subscription-based service, and I'd had it a while, and I hadn't properly put it to use, and I wanted to get better at it. So I was like, well, now's the time. This is my time. And so whilst I hadn't specifically thought about Martin's challenge, as these other things all came together, I was like, no, that's it. I'm going to level up live. I'm going to get on Ecamm Live. I'm going to start using it. I'm going to start getting better at it. I'm going to start practicing it. And through the practice I'm going to get better. And so I invite you now. I'm going to say, if you're watching either now or in the future, give us a bit of love and a bit of encouragement. Like the channel, give me some feedback, subscribe to the channel. That all helps out. But I don't take that request lightly. I want, communicate with me so that Colin, don't do this, do that, do this. But it was only by doing. It was only by stepping forward and making myself uncomfortable, a bit vulnerable, and working out what I can do with this software. For example, if you come on the show, I'll give you a big round of applause. It's only by, or I might even make a big thing of it. Come on in. But it's only by doing these things that I find out what is possible. It is the software that allows me to go, okay, guys, where in the world are you? And throw this up, where the Family Friday is staying there and the Parenting Passport and Profits is there. And there's a reason why that is there, and I would prefer they weren't. But this is all part of using the software, learning how it works, etc., etc. So it's things like that allow me to use the keyboard just to go back to this camera. Now this is a Canon EOS M6 that I bought as part of my leveling up with equipment about 18 months ago, and didn't get around to using it. And I knew it would work with Ecamm Live, but I hadn't tried it, and it took me 10 to 12 days to sort of find out what the nuances of whether the camera would work, and for me to get enough practice in and getting the camera connected and understanding how it works. And now I can just use my keyboard to bounce between the one camera and the second camera. And so yeah, it's a full sort of blown broadcast thing, and it can do amazing things. By way of example, if you leave a comment in the chat, so like I've put the tonight's URL, I can add that to the broadcast, so it shows that I left that comment. And if it was you leaving a comment and I want to, I can bring that on, and it makes the show very interactive. Thing. If you do take up the offer live to click on the link, you come into a virtual room, and the tool is facilitated by Skype. And the way the software works is that the software that I'm broadcasting from sees the Skype call and automatically brings us both into the broadcast, which is amazing. So it's going to be really good for doing interviews, and we can have more than one people. We can have 3, 4, 5. Actually, we can have up to 50. And I have no idea how that works on the screen, and I'm not trying to do that. But we certainly can do anything from 1 to 4. I think quite comfortably on the screen. But this is all me just experimenting and finding out how I can level up. So it took me about 2 weeks to get to grips with the technology, get to grips with the software, and get into a bit of a rhythm. But I've got into a rhythm now, scheduling the show, promoting the show, reaching out to people. I've got people who want to come on the show. If you were tuned in last night, you'll know I had a great interview with Di Manuel of Your Lifestyle Mentor. And Di made himself very vulnerable, talking about his mental health challenges, and yeah, it was a really good interview. So we've had guests in from New Zealand, we've had guests in from Mexico, United States, Canada now. We've had people chatting in from Europe, we've had people chatting in from the UK, and you can come in wherever it works, So it is very much a world-friendly show. And so as I got a bit comfortable in the third week, so this is the fourth week, in the third week, I decided that as a natural evolution of where we were going, to resurrect an idea that I'd had about a year ago around some themed hashtags. So we have Mashup Monday, and on Mashup Monday we talk about anything to do with online marketing. So it could be search engine optimization, content optimization, technical SEO, email marketing and automation, opt-ins, things like that. Websites if you want. We can do websites review. Actually, I'll just forgive some of the things that are going to stay on the screen, but if you want a website review, we can do that. And what we'll do is just put the clock on here. So what I have here is the screen is shared. I'm just going to take that Family Friday off just for this, but I've got the screen shared there. But what we can do, this could be your website. I've got a little computer. We'll put the clock on up here, and we've got that I think we've got this. Is this locked? Have I locked this? I think I might have locked this scene. Have I locked this scene? No, I haven't locked this scene. Why can't I get the okay, not quite. Right. Okay, I've just caused myself a slight problem, but I don't know. Oh, I know what I've done. I know what I've done. I got to take you off, and here we go. So yeah, we'll run the clock. Forgive me. We'll run the clock and do a little website review. So yeah, that's for another day. But if you want, so let me get back to. Let me get back to today, and we'll bring our Family Friday up. We got Tech Tuesday. We have World Schooling Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, and Family Friday. Now, Family Friday actually is the one we've had the most longevity with, because ever since we've been World Schooling and we got our own blog up and running, and we haven't done too much with that, although it has recently had a big makeover. So be very curious if you hop on over to the website. We'd love some feedback on what you think of the website. Have a navigate round to the blog, use the search function, any of those things. I'd really yeah, I'd love any feedback on what you think of the blog and the layout and all those sorts of things. But right from the beginning, even when the blog was in its infancy, as we started to learn about other world schooling families, we decided we would support them, even though we didn't know them or hadn't had a relationship with them. We could quickly grasp how challenging this lifestyle is, and in different ways, by the way. You know, not it's very simple in many ways, challenging in others, and that is life in general. You know, so but we decided we wanted to support these people, so we just used it as an opportunity to reach out to them when we found out they had a blog or a social media presence or a YouTube channel, and we asked if we could just share a paragraph about them on our Facebook page every Friday. So the Family Friday hashtag sort of came to life way before anything else. And if you look at our Facebook page, you'll see, going back, I'm going to say at least 2 years and possibly longer. I'm pretty confident. I don't remember exactly when I started, but I'm fairly confident it started relatively early. Every Friday on the Parenting Passports and Profits Facebook page, you will find 2 to 3 posts recurring of families that we wanted to share and talk about. And there's probably only about maybe 15 to 20 families that we set that up on, and over a sort of, I guess, what's that? A sort of, I can't do my maths, it's too late at night. What would that be? I guess over a 10 to 13 week cycle, those posts recycle. And it's only through the creation of this show and resurrecting the hashtags that I'm about to go in and revisit that, and I'm going to add some more families in, and all the families that we're going to add in are people we have actually met. It's just we haven't updated that area. and it's going to evolve into a podcast where we have done interviews. So if you tuned in last week, what you'll have seen is I introduced you to two of the families that we've personally met and that I've interviewed in the past, and I just took some clips from those interviews, and I used the software, which was part of me leveling up, that I handed the software, I handed the clips over to the software, and it's a bit like, the newsreader goes off to the reporter, and then the reporter sort of shows the clip or whatever, and we can do that with the software. So I'm also having conversations with world schooling families in different parts of the world that are not in a great time zone to come on the show live. So it just kind of lends itself to doing some recordings and then either creating them as recorded videos or podcasts, or probably both. So I thought I've already been going for half an hour, and so I'm gonna share my screen now, because there's a few families I'd like to introduce you to just as a starting point. So let me just get back over here, and I'm just going to share my screen. How's that working? Does that work okay? Let's move me out the way, and I'm going to just make a change here. We're going to go over to here, and I think what we'll do is we'll get rid of all of this stuff for now. So just bear with me while I turn off that, and that, and that. So this is Jonathan and Meredith and their two girls, and we met them. So Have Kids Will Wander, and so they were one of the clips I showed you last week, and we met them in Thailand. They hail from Canada, and we met them at a World Schooling Project World Schooling Conference. And as you can see, they, like us, have two girls. Their girls are a little older than our two, and in sort of parallel. They've been world schooling about the same sort of time. Their blog isn't that up to date. Jonathan is a relationship counsellor and has turned it into an online therapist business, and it's amazing just to sort of watch how that's unfolded. Meredith was writing a blog, but as you can, if you dive on over to this site, you'll see that they just haven't been able to keep it up to date. Excuse me just one sec. I just want to go over here. And how's that work? Is that good? Oh yeah, there we go. And so yeah, and we thoroughly enjoyed their company. We've only been in their company during the duration of the Project World School Summit physically, but we've maintained a relationship ever since, and they are currently back in Canada. Most Canadians were sort of called back, I believe, and they were I think they were in Japan at the time. They'd been living in Japan semi-permanently, had moved around a little bit, and then were in a dilemma as to whether to stay in Japan or sort of find another permanent home. And then they realised it was safer for them to go to Canada. So they are keen to keep travelling, and it'll be interesting to see how things shape up for them when lockdown in Canada changes. So the second family we introduced you last week was the 5 World Explorers, and that is Mas and Sarah, who hail from a combination of Mexico and let me see if I can navigate around. They hail from Mexico. Sorry, they hail from United States and Italy. So Mas was originally from Italy, and I'm not too sure where he and Sarah met. They lived in Italy, I believe, at the start of their relationship, and some point when the children started to come along. But then they moved to the US, and I haven't got all the time things. But Sarah and Mas have been traveling coming up for 2 years, I think. They do this wonderful blog or Facebook updates, and they talk about day 600 and something. So they haven't. I don't think they've hit 700 yet. So their journey is sort of is at some point in the not too distant future. It's going to hit the 2-year anniversary. And again, we met them at the Project World School Family Summit in Chiang Mai at the back end of 2018. And as I say, if you're watching last week, you'll have seen a clip of me talking to them. And we do have a full interview, although the interview with these guys cut short. But that interview was over a year ago, and they've done so much since. And I can see their blog has really come on. Their YouTube channel is growing. It was great hanging out with their children. I remember our eldest climbing with their eldest in an indoor climbing wall. So yeah, we're definitely going to be revisiting our conversation. I actually messaged Sarah this morning, and she said so they're holed up in Nepal at the moment. And if you go to their YouTube channel, you'll see some great updates coming out from Nepal. And yes, I'm really excited to be able to connect with them. They are so being in Nepal, their time zone doesn't fit too great to come on the show live, but yeah, they're keen to talk again, and it'll be awesome to catch up with them. So yeah, another family I'd like to introduce you to is these guys. Now they are very humble. They don't really blog about their world schooling. If you can see, I don't know if let me just see what you can see through Ecamm Live. So you can see the website URL there. So this is run by a vegan family, and I've just got Rachel and Lee and their 2 children, and they have been on the road about 3 years. They're currently most of this time was in Cambodia. We met them briefly while we were in Cambodia. Very serendipitous, actually. We reached out to them. We met on Instagram. We reached out to them, talked about if we made it to Cambodia, we'd love to hook up. Didn't think too much of it. Told them that we were coming. Now, for us, we can't remember where we were, but Vietnam, I think, and we needed to do a visa run. And we reached out to them and said we were going to be in Siem Reap, and were they still there? Could we hang out with them? And they said, yeah, that'd be great. And so we did. We made that arrangement, and then we turned up in Siem Reap, booked this hotel very randomly, I believe. Ellie takes care of that side of business, and woke up in the morning, and lo and behold, we were in the same hotel as where they were living, and it was awesome. So we had their company for a week and got to know them a little bit, and then at the back end of 2019, so that was probably about 5 or 6 months later, we all found ourselves in Johor Bahru in Malaysia, all living around Legoland. So we had even more time with them, and that was a very lovely experience. But these guys are doing some amazing things with. Well, if you can read this, so they don't put much in the way of photos that I'm aware of about themselves. But they produce their own books. They illustrate and write their own books. They run publishing services, and these are all by Rachel and Lee. And you can buy these books, but it's what they want to do with the proceeds of these books and the things they do to make. I mean, Lee's shining a lot of light on the Cambodian dog meat trade. They are doing some amazing things to raise awareness about animal cruelty in different parts of the world. And if you get on their Facebook page, and yeah, Lee's done some sort of real behind the scenes stuff in Cambodia, and yeah, it's quite shocking. So yeah, real hats off to these guys. We were, you know, very down to earth family. They hail from England. Um, they are locked down in Malaysia right now. I believe, yeah, they had to postpone. They were going to do a book tour around Australia to raise funds to for things like this, a dog meat free Cambodia, but obviously COVID-19 got in the way. So yeah, if you get a chance, definitely check in with Epic Animal Quest. Lee and Rachel, lovely family. Yeah, you can find them on Instagram, and yeah, learn a bit more about their work. And then how are we doing for time? Let's just check here. How are we doing for time? Okay, so I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. So we'll go to one more family for tonight. And this is Leanne and Brett of Cake and Eat It 3.com. And yeah, I think that's a play on words of you can have your cake and eat it. Leanne's extremely upbeat and positive person. Now, when I went to their blog, which I hadn't been to for quite a while, I couldn't find like an about page. So I'll have to talk to Leanne and ask why there's not one on there. But the lovely couple, we met them online through some Facebook groups, and they hail from Australia. And then we found out, or they found out, that we were in Bali at the same time as them, and we got to meet them and have dinner with them in Bali in sort of early 2018. I reckon that would have been just before we found out that we were pregnant with our second daughter. And we met up with these guys, had a lovely time, and we've stayed in touch since. They are back in Australia. They do a lot of RVing and outdoor living, and you can tell from their posts. But they have some. Leanne has created some amazing resources around financial tools, world schooling tools. So if you look at here, educational websites and resources, they've got these. I can't remember what she called them. Planners. Maybe it wasn't planners, but. Yeah, she's developed a, yeah, here we go. And I don't know. She has developed a huge kids travel worksheets. That's it. She's put a huge amount of effort into a lot of these resources that they've created themselves. These guys have developed a decent level of financial independence through investment, and they've made some good decisions around finances, and they've documented those, and they share them. So you can tell there's a whole bunch of resources on here, but the kids travel worksheets are, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they've developed them themselves. So again, Cake and Eat It, head on over to their Facebook page, Cake and Eat It 3. There you go. I might not be logged in. I'm on a yeah, there you go. Oh yeah. So yeah, so one more place I should take you to. How do we get rid of that, Leanne? Not there. Let's over that. Okay. Yeah. So World Schooling Central is a sort of, well, I guess the best way to describe it is a central place for world schooling. And this is run by a lady by the name of Karen, another Aussie, who's permanently resident in Panama now. And we met Karen and her children just briefly in Bali. And she's doing amazing things trying to pull together. Oh, look at that. I just talked to her today, and I didn't know that it, yeah, so they're doing quite a bit behind the scenes, but yeah, the Facebook community is very active. So yeah, by all means, head on over there. But I'll come back and visit these. So that was just. Let me we'll go back in. So yeah, that was a little sort of a brief introduction to a number of families, and there's so many of them. But I want to try and, I mean, we travel slowly, so we travel slowly, so we don't meet scores and scores of these people, but we do meet them, and we we were going to meet more, but we're not alone. The Facebook communities, we're currently updating our resources pages, and you'll be able to see some of the places we hang out on Facebook, and the parenting and the passports and the profits resources. But we found, since we started doing this, I'm not going to say we love Facebook or anything like that, but we don't hate it. And Facebook has been extremely useful in our lives in the last few years, because we're not hugely interactive on our personal profiles, but we use our page to sort of showcase what we're doing away from Facebook. But most importantly, how we use it is we join groups, and joining groups is a really good way to network and around local places. So whenever we're going to a new place, we use Facebook groups as a huge form of research. You know, where to do this, where to do that, paperwork, accommodation, food, shopping, things to do with kids, play dates, all those sorts of things. That you know, we live in these amazing times where we can introduce ourselves virtually ahead of time, and by the time we get anywhere, we can really hit the ground running. Where's the co-working spots? Where's the best coffee shops with internet connections? And it's made a huge difference. And then, you know, through Facebook Messenger and various other messaging apps, we can start dialogue with people, and, you know, meet families that are already there, and, you know, arrange play dates and all those sorts of things, because we homeschool or unschool, as the case may be, and so we're constantly looking for ways to play with other children, and yeah, so when you find mutual destinations that are great for meetups, you need a way of connecting. So we really enjoy Facebook groups, and places like World Schooling Central Facebook group, and We Are World Schoolers, which is run by Lainey Liberty, who I talked about earlier as being the mutual contact. Thousands and thousands of people in these groups, thousands, spread all over the world. And they're not all actively world schooling permanently, not by any shape or form. A lot of people are just sort of dipping their toes in the water. Some people are just thinking about it, and, you know, they're just sort of hanging in the background, learning and watching and listening, and that's exactly what they should do. You know, they're gleaning information and building up their. You know, it can take a lot of confidence to be brave enough to leave behind, you know, what would be classified as social norms, to go and live this different, you know, living differently. It takes guts, and often the people are not supported in their pursuit of their dreams, and that's sad. That's really sad, you know. You know, being happy for someone for what they want, I think, is a human, a form of human empathy that we could all do with developing a little more, you know. This life is not for everyone, but it's not a right or wrong decision. It's just it's a choice as to whether it works for you. And in our case, and I'm not going to bore you with the whole backstory, but in our case right now, we feel like we're just getting going, and we love it. We just feel like the alternative of going back to permanent living just is not appealing to us in any shape or form. The sense of adventure of slow travel is one that we are thoroughly enjoying and adapting to and reveling in at the moment. So, but that's just for us, you know, and we don't assume it's going to be like that forever. But we don't have a permanent base anymore, so we have no ties. And maybe, like Karen, we might find ourselves in another country and go, yeah, let's settle here for a while. It doesn't necessarily have to be our home country. So it is a world of adventure. Again, not right, not wrong, but we don't want to live with regrets. And we both genuinely enjoy the adventure side of things, the living. For us, world schooling is a slow adventure. We we like to we like to live as locals, so we're always looking for places we can stay 3 months or more, and so that we can enjoy being there and sort of get a real feel for the place, and we can contribute and make friends locally. We find that fascinating. We just find that fascinating, and we're not trying to. There's no test of what it's going to be like, or how it's going to end up. We know hundreds. When we knew a few, we knew of a few families before. I said earlier in the show, we now know of hundreds, if not thousands, of families. And as I say, they're not all traveling full time, and they're not all traveling full time. They're not all still traveling. Some only travel in certain parts of the world. Some travel with over a finite period, and then it stops. And they come in all shapes and sizes, all different ages, all different countries. And through these groups like World Schooling Central and We Are World Schoolers, there's always someone you can connect with and feel like you can have a meaningful. I was talking when Di and I were talking about this last night. He and I met through World Schooling, and we were talking about how, just by definition of making the decision to sort of go on the road and be location independent or have a world schooling adventure, by definition, nearly everyone who makes that decision is already some form of outlier, with their brain wired to think differently, even if their own friends and families don't welcome that train of thought. And so what we found is that when we do connect with other world schooling families as strangers, whether that's over the internet or physically in a location, we have found that we can have some really deep and meaningful conversations with those people that we can't have necessarily with friends and family that we've known all our lives. Because when you think differently, you can't always go as deep and meaningful as you'd like with people who know you in a certain way. Whereas outliers, you kind of already got this unwritten acceptance that you can explore challenging and meaningful topics, and I personally find that very rewarding. I don't know if you've read The Love Languages, but quality conversation is one of those, as one of the love languages, and it's certainly one that I find very powerful. Anyway, I hope if you're watching this in the future, you got something out of it. If you are, please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. What are we doing there? We'd love to, all those likes, they make a difference. Subscribe to the channel and give us a bell. The show's going to evolve. That's part of my own leveling up, and you'll hear all about it if you've got that notification. So on that note, depending on where in the world you are, whether you're waking up in New Zealand or Australia or that part of the world, whether you're enjoying some afternoon tea or early dinner in the Americas, or whether you're a bit like me and really should go to bed because it's very, very late here in Europe, I will bid you a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday with Mashup Monday, and see you all next week. So over and out for now. Take care now. Bye-bye.